Hello, this is Brett from SurvivalComms, and today we're going to talk about an outdoor or survival related item. And those of you who've been watching my content for some time will know that I've done a lot of outdoor and survival related videos in the past. I haven't done many lately. I've been doing a lot of radio stuff. However, I found an item that I thought was pretty doggone cool, and this is that ENO Sub6 hammock because it's so doggone light. I've been backpacking for years with a double-size hammock. They're pretty comfortable. I like it as a shelter solution. You may not like a hammock as a shelter solution. That doesn't mean we can't be friends. But the nice thing, especially where I live and using a hammock, is it gets you off the ground. Contrary to popular belief, the whole world doesn't look like a park, and it doesn't look like a trail system where you've got these nice flat places to set up your tent. Whereas with a hammock, you've got a lot more options to tie off your shelter to, and it gets you off of the ground. Go.
So this is the reason why you carry a hammock when you bug out in Florida.
Especially here if you're in like an area of high water and stuff like that, that all your dry spots are pretty much full of ants, and you don't want to really sleep on the ground with ants. That's not desirable. But anyway, we'll talk about this item. This item's supposed to be 5.8 ounces. Looks like it's about 6 ounces on my scale here. They're made of 30 denier nylon, and we'll open that up here and look at that, and you can see it's doggone silk weight. It's very, very light. It's supposed to be very strong, and it's supposed to be able to support 300 pounds, which is good. The support structure is Dyneema. It's tied off here where it's gathered, the very end here, and stitched. The stitching looks okay, stitching wise. At the very end of the stitching is kind of, it looks frayed, but it's not really frayed. It's just not really well finished off. This item here is like $70, I believe, retails what I paid for it. And like I said, it's a really light hammock. Now, the tie-offs they have is they have their own little suspension system that you can spend additional money on that will utilize these toggles. What you can do is get some climbing rated carabiners or some carabiners. I typically believe in just buying climbing rated stuff because it's not that much more expensive. These are both black diamond. This one here's got a locking gate, and this one's just a spring gate, and both of these are acceptable for setting up with a hammock. What's nice about these are you can just take this sucker and slide it behind that toggle through that Dyneema line, and it's not really tight in there. And that right there allows you to use this as a hanging solution. And I'm going to show you how I rig my hammocks up. I use mule tape. Mule tape is wire pull tape. It's polyester webbing. It's tubular in construction. It doesn't exhibit a whole heck of a lot of stretch. And this is a 3/4 inch webbing, and it has a 2,500 pound breaking strength. This stuff can be used as cordage. You can tie and untie knots in it very well. You can use it to bind objects, to drag things. You can make a Swiss seat out of it. It's not a terribly comfortable Swiss seat, but it will suffice for a field expedient solution. Again, it's extremely useful stuff in my opinion. I brought this stuff with me to my Wilderness EMT refresher here a few months ago, and everybody was pretty doggone impressed with it. They're like, a lot of them had never seen it before. I buy it in like 500-foot rolls. That way I have plenty of it laying around, and it's really good stuff, and it makes an excellent hammock suspension in my opinion once you tie the correct knots in it, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But one thing about it is when you cut it is to go ahead and seal the ends of it, because it will fray rather badly without doing that. Now, I rig these things. I have two 15-foot sections of this webbing, and both of these together are 7 ounces, so it's relatively lightweight. Now, I keep a knot or a loop in the end of this right here to make it easier to rig. You can do a loop at the end of this line on the fly, or you can elect to pre-rig it with a loop like I do. It's up to you. A good knot for that is just a bowline knot. You can tie a bowline in there, which is generally what I prefer because it's pretty easy to tie and untie. Another knot you can use to put a loop in the end of this line. It's just a figure 8. So you can just take and make a bite in your line and just wrap around itself once, twice, and then back through. And there's your figure 8 right there. And there's the knot completed. You can dress up the knot. Remember, pretty knots are better knots. Now, let's say we want to go ahead and store this line. Now, we can take this line and store it and just bundle it up. And there's not a lot of it there, so it wouldn't be that difficult to untangle it. What I prefer to do is just bundle it as a figure 8 bundle. And you've probably seen a lot of people do this before, but thumb and pinky, it's like this. And then wrap it back and forth like that. Leave a few feet at the end of it, and then just secure your package or your bundle, whatever term you want to use. And then go ahead and just secure that end on here. You really want to make it tight, put a clove hitch down there, but so you have a nice compact bundle. When you need to deploy that line, you can just pull it out just like that and whammo. Very simple. Before we get too far down the hammock hanging rabbit hole, I did want to make mention of one thing, that you need to check whether it's okay or not to tie stuff to trees. Like certain state parks, and Florida state parks don't care for it. And someone made mention in another video of mine that Missouri state parks are the same way, so you might want to check on that before you head out and commit to this being your only shelter solution. What happened to me is I had stuff tied to the tree. They came over and they must have been having a bad day. They told me that wasn't good. I said, I'm sorry. You know, I broke down what I had set up and invited them back for cocktails, and they elected not to show up later on. So, hey, you know what? You can't win them all. To connect with our tree without really tying it to the tree, I just made do a girth hitch around the tree, but in order to encircle the tree, I go about head height, and then just take your running end, pull it through, and tighten up around your tree. Just like that. And as long as there's tension on this, it's not going to go anywhere. An excellent way to secure your hammock to your mule tape and allow for adjustment is the use of a munner hitch, which is extremely simple, and I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, take your carabiner and go behind the toggle, and that's an extremely secure attachment point in this particular hammock. Take and stuff this under your arm like this, then get about a foot to 18 inches of your mule tape. Take your palm up, cross over itself, just flip your hand over. Now you're going to have your standing end and your running end here. Make a loop like that. Just take your carabiner, secure it over that, and you can see our munner hitch. We can tighten it up, and now we can loosen it. Once we determine how tight we want our hammock and set our hang angle, just go ahead and make an overhand safety like that, and you'll see it'll bind that munner hitch up extremely strong. You want to break down your setup. All you do is grab this end, pull it loose, and it all comes off. Well, what do I think of the ENO Sub6 hammock? You know, I haven't had this thing long enough to determine the long-term durability of the fabric or just how comfortable this thing is after using it for several days. So I really can't comment on that. I can tell you from the initial impression of it that I'm very impressed with the lightweight of it. I like how compressible it is. I mean, you can compress the thing down to the size of a tennis ball, and that's all good. The cons are, again, the questionable durability of the fabric. The manufacturer specifies that this will support a 300-pound load, and I have no reason to doubt those folks. However, the hammock is very small, and that's a consequence of it being light in weight. And if you're one of those people that's used to using a double hammock like I am on hiking trips, that you may find that a little disconcerting at first, and it's something you're going to have to get used to. It's certainly easy to fall out of the other side of it if you're not paying enough attention to it. Yeah, that's happened to me with the double hammocks in the past, where you end up pinned in the hammock and put your legs up in the air and, you know, up against a bug net, and you have to get your friends to extricate you from this mess. But, you know, something to be cognizant of. If anybody else has any experience with this product and has any questions or anything, please feel free to put them in the comments. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this helps. This is Brett from SurvivalComms. Till next time.